productions, right? Agriculture has been disrupted. Health, of course, devastating effects on health outcomes. Of course, we have issue with quality of education as well, because now, although like in Indonesia, I understand that um, like all children, they have to go they have to go to school through online. However, some families who don't have maybe gadget internet connections, there are still issue around that aspect. So not all families have the same access to internet. Gender equality, clean water, sanitations, because without COVID-19, in some places in Indonesia, we have issue with clean water. But with COVID-19, because of maybe government service has been disrupted, so potentially there will be additional problem. Okay, we also have, so if you look at this, so all 17 goals will have, will be affected by COVID-19, even including here, like in terms of sustainable cities and communities, populations living in slum areas face higher risks of exposure to COVID-19 because they will not be able to, social distancing or physical distancing because maybe they live in a very crowded environment. All right, so maybe they have to share like one small house, but they have maybe three families or maybe three generations. So the parents, the grandparents, and then the kid, they live in the same house, the same under the same roof. So it's a bit difficult for them to do social distancing. Okay, for those who are wealthy family, maybe they have maybe three bathrooms, they are two-story houses. It's easier for them to do self isolations, for instance. Okay, but for this poor family, they it's difficult for them to do that. And if you look at this here, we have just a second. We have this waiting room always pop up in my screen, so I cannot see the screen myself. So these are the effects of social distancing, right? So you have just a second. Fortunately, I have two screen here. So effects of social distancing measures on health. We have, if you look at this, and this is from BMG articles journal, and it is open access, so you can download for free as well. It's by Margaret and Douglas. And if you look at this, is COVID-19. Just a second, I just need to close my door. My kid just opened the door. So we have the COVID-19 infections. We have direct health impacts, and not only that, we have not only direct health impacts, but we also have fear and anxiety. Okay, so we have home isolations, restrictions on non-essential sectors, transport restrictions, closure of educational facilities. All right. So there are a number of factors, aspects that will be affected by because of social distancing, and if you go to a WHO website, and they have published, so I did not include that guidelines in this PowerPoint, but they have published a new guideline called how to cope with uh, uh, COVID-19 fatigue. So COVID-19 fatigue means they are, people are stressful, anxiety, and because we always talk about COVID-19, and here at Griffith University, next it will be the next week. So next week we are going to have like a social gathering between staff and PhD students, and we cannot talk, we cannot say COVID-19. So it is not allowed. So if you say COVID-19, then you have to do push up for 5 times. So this kind of things, we just have to practice not to always think about COVID-19. And you see here we have unemployment, stress, and boredom, long-term economic consequences, loss of education, and etc. etc. So we have in if you go down there, sorry, indirectly attributable to morbidity and mortality. So that is the health outcomes. All right. So COVID-19 is has both indirect and direct impact. So most people until now we focus on direct impact of COVID-19. So the attentions are focused on vaccine, social distancing and etc. Lockdown, right? So, but there are many other aspects that need to be concerned as well, not only on those aspects. So, if you look at this, this is from the WHO as well, and it was published some times ago. I think around June or July, forgot. But this is related to measles vaccine. And as you know, measles are very dangerous, especially for children. And it is a preventable infectious disease or communicable disease. However, because of COVID-19, there's a potential of disruptions in terms of measles vaccinations. And and so COVID-19 will not only cause COVID-19 disease or the illness that is due to the SARS-CoV-2, but maybe other type of disease might also increase, okay, including measles as well, okay, because of disruptions of basic health service in those countries. And anxiety. So anxiety is very serious issue here in Australia. I think if you've been to Australia, if you've been if you do your maybe education here in Australia, you will know that in Australia we have what we call by Are You Okay Day. Are You Okay Day means like we have to ask our friends, are you okay? Like apa kabar or something like that. So basically is to that we need to check our friends whether they are in a good mental situation or not, okay? And if not, then we have to help them. This is even before COVID-19. All right. So, and according to research, and this is by the UNAIDS, you can see that approximately about 70% of young people reported feeling anxious or very anxious about COVID-19. Okay, so it could be because of educations, this environmental change, like some people, they don't really like doing online, but now everything has to be done online. And maybe because of fear, they're because of maybe the parents have an issue with the economy, so they will be impacted as well. So what is the COVID stress syndrome? So we have, and mental health stress are very very serious, and it is also considered as the silent killers. So it is very important for us to be considered as well, to consider this as well. So fear, it's something that we always have, okay, with or without COVID. And people are, we are afraid of getting this illness. I just talked to my mother yesterday, and yesterday she had to go to hospital to do medical checkup. But then she said to me, I'm a bit of, I'm scared to go to hospital because of a lot of people, maybe they are not well and we don't know which one got COVID-19. So it's fear. However, there's a very good book, okay, because we're talking about innovations, right? And I think you are very thinking about how we can think, how we can innovate, how we can think out of the box. And I have a book here. Sorry, so I bought this book from my uni, and Make Change Work for You. So basically, this book is about how we can be adaptable, resilience. Okay, So because everything is now changed, like now we are like every day we have Zoom. Okay, so and so fear, as I mentioned earlier, so because of COVID-19, there is always have, you know, positive and negative. So negative side, maybe you have stress, anxiety, right, and feeling um, maybe not comfortable. However, fear also have positive side. So and amongst them are including alert us to potential threats and dangers. Because of fear, then we become alert, make us more attuned to our environment, so we become more aware. So we have to think about, like, we if you want to go to like shopping center, and then we think about the risks, okay, which is very important. Prompt us to make changes and fix problems, so we think about how we can do things properly during COVID restrictions. Promote dynamic decision making and entrepreneurial behavior. It's difficult to pronounce that word. um, we become, you know, sure, you know, this is, I think, the, you know, in terms of the respiratory support, okay. um, and they also use the camphor. Camphor is like, yeah, camphor, yeah. Now we put camphor in maybe in a cupboard or toilet to avoid um, cockroaches, okay. At that time they put it as a necklace, like that, okay. So it's very poisonous, I think, and maybe the smell is not really good until further notice. At that time, maybe they don't have Netflix, okay, they don't have YouTube, they did not have a streaming, live streaming, I believe, okay. And uh, okay, let's go. And people, they innovate, and this is somewhere in Africa, and they just use a very you know, a basic technology, and they use this is from the handbrake of maybe a broken bicycle, so they reuse that, recycle and reuse this item as a like a foot, you know, foot pump, okay. Two, um, so one for water, the other one for the soap. So we become um, creative, and this is important, all right, because of fear, and then you innovate. And in the context of Australia, so previously we had a very big discussion in Australia about whether it is ethical to for government to have a close monitoring their citizen, okay. Because with these COVID safe applications, and I also have these applications with me as well in my mobile phone, so the government can see how, where we go, like every day, all right. So some people think that that is not, what about the privacy, right? So there is always like positive and negative, but Australia population is about 25, 26 million, and according to a report, I think I read this report about a month ago. About 9 million people out of 25 million has have downloaded these applications. So it's a big number for Australia. Okay, and this is basically to help the government to do contact tracing. Okay, contact tracing is very important for if there's any local transmissions. And okay, so this is also another example of innovations raised hand during Zoom classes, and even now they have a new type of disease. They call it zoomosis or zoomosis, which is maybe sitting too long in front of computer, and because of, remember, like, we innovate, right? So the human innovate, but the disease also growing as well. So we have also new type of problems, like we have worked from home, right? And because of work from home, we also have issue what we call by work home conflict. Like just now, my son came to my office. This is my office, and this is my one of the room in my house, and asked me to do something with him. It is a work. I'm working at this moment, and also I have to do my home task as well. So there is a problem as well. And okay, so thinking about, sorry, I just quickly, okay, new normal protocol: avoid touching mouth, eyes, nose, and follow women, wash your hand, and etc. etc. So growth opportunities in the post-corona world. So there are a number of new new they call it new opportunities for jobs or for business. We can see IT, 3D printing, digital signature, cloud computing, streaming. All these are, they have a, they gain positive impact from COVID-19. Okay, even like gaming as well. Okay, so if you look at this here, the United Nations Innovation Network. So if you go to Google and then you just type UN Innovation Network COVID-19. So they have a special report edition for innovations during COVID-19. Okay, and I really maybe some of you have seen this document. For those who have not seen this document, I really encourage you to see this document yourself. Okay, I'm not going to explain one by one here because it's quite, I think, 47 pages in total, so or something like that. So it's a bit long document. However, in a nutshell, or in the summary, okay, the innovations approaches against COVID-19, they are they have, in several groups. So health and well-being. So people are, because as I mentioned earlier, so health and well-being are impacted. All right, so they try their best to see how, like, because people cannot talk face to face, and then people trying their best to create technology that maybe we are social close but physical distancing, supporting vulnerable group, right? So in this case, maybe it is more about how to access internet connections in some areas. In Indonesia as well, I think they try their best to have a internet connection, so they think innovatively, so then people can have access internet. Education, so of course it's like online at Griffith University, although we don't have any cases in Queensland for a couple of weeks, but we still do online class until next year, trimester 1. This is for Griffith University. And agriculture, so they do the innovations, employment, communicating with public, and also supporting government. So like I just mentioned earlier about, this contact tracing application. So this is to support Minister of Health in Australia to do contact tracing. And also data and innovate information. So it's very important for us to get data and informations timely. Okay. In Australia, the government will provide support for any innovations related to COVID-19. At this moment, I am involved. So with my students, so I supervise at least 2 projects related to COVID-19 in Australia. So basically, they will, because in Australia is a multicultural from many different countries. Okay, migrant means refugees. Okay, and I'm also an immigrant. I came from Indonesia, but we also have refugees coming from different countries. So one of our project is to basically to create a better support, for these people, because maybe they have issue with English, and they also have issue in terms of the family history, because they are refugee. However, something that we need to do, and we need to understand. So this is approaching to the end of my. I still have a number of slides to go. Innovations is important. However, we need to understand why the COVID happens. Okay, so COVID happens is not only because of the virus. Of course, the virus, the pathogens, is there, and then we have COVID-19. However, we also have to think about what is beyond the virus. Yeah, right? So this is something that we need to think about, not only thinking about the virus itself, but, and this is from Global Assessment Report. I've been talking about this, I think, in many forums, and I think I really recommend you to also go to Google and put Global Assessment Report 2019, and you need to fix, right? And they don't, innovations maybe is not enough to fix this problem. Systemic failure, political instability, So this is something that we need to solve as well. So that's why one of the most important part in terms of innovations is the leadership. And if you look at this is back in 2019 Global Health Security Index. I think can I have another 3-4 minutes? Okay, can I just finish? I think I've been talking for more than 30 minutes. Okay. So Global Health Security Index, I think you've seen this in 2019. So they put America as the country that has the best system to deal with any pandemic. All right, so this was in 2019. However, if you look at the data at this like now, United Nations is also #1 in terms of the positive case of COVID-19. So it's a contradictions. There is a, like, which one is correct? Okay, between 2019, they are #1 as the country that is, the most prepared country to deal with pandemic. But now they are in terms of how to, dealing with COVID-19, they are one of the worst. Okay. So this is what I did. So I did a bit of like thinking about like what is actually the problem. So maybe they have a very good hospital. That's right. They have a very good doctor. They have a very good health system. However, if you look at this, it is not only about that. Okay, so the capacity is there, testing capacities, contact tracing, public health preparedness, healthcare preparedness. Okay, so this is what we call by pressure and release model for risks assessment. If you look at this, if you only put your efforts on health capacity without thinking about how to reduce the unsafe conditions, how to reduce pressure, and also how to address these root influences, and then the risks will still be there. The red color here, it's the risks. So to reduce this risk, you have to increase your capacity, and then you have to reduce all these three. So here, if you look at this political commitment and effective leadership amongst the priority in terms of root influences. So if you go back to think about Indonesia, so political commitment and effective leadership are important. Like in Gorontalo, for instance, or many, because this is international conference, like you also have to evaluate your government. Have they done, the approach effectively to minimize, the case of COVID-19? And what about their commitment? And I understand that you just did Pilkada last weekend. Okay, hopefully the case is not increasing dramatically. Okay, so here you have so many things, unsafe conditions. Here maybe PPE, maybe we have innovations, the best innovations in terms of PPE, different type of mask, biohazard suit. However, if animal trafficking is still there, illegal logging is still there, because this virus was coming from animals, and there is a close connection between animals, human, and environment, right? So if we still do illegal logging, and the risks of re-emerging disease or emerging infectious disease will still there in the future. So effective leadership means a rapid response, partnership driven. So we need to work with maybe academic. Building trust is very important. So the society will need to trust the government. Commitment to lead is important as well. And there are so many people, they talk loud during Pilkada or during campaign, but then after they get elected, they don't talk too loud. Okay, so this is a problem. Leadership means to motivate, to create, to communicate, to drive change. So my this is one of my input. Okay, not input, it's more like advice. Okay, so we don't have to wait until the government lead the process. So university, like here we have University Negeri Gorontalo, or maybe different university here. So you have to lead the process. You have to try to lead the innovations. Try your best, okay? And this is also what we did in Queensland. And last but not least, so we have to learn from this pandemic, because this is the we cannot waste the experience. So we have to learn, change, and we have to move forward. There is no way to turn back and then we become the same person as we used to. We maybe we will have another COVID-19 in the future, or maybe the name is different, because it won't happen in COVID-19 in 2019. So maybe 2021, 2022, right? We don't know. So innovations. This is from one of our paper published back in 2019. This is something related to flood risks. However, it's still relevant to what we were talking about. So building community resilience. So no matter what type of technology that we has to be the center, okay? Because if we put them like technical, right? Technical means technological like innovations, but we also have to involve the human, the social aspect, because if we then build their human and social aspect, that way they will build their transformational capacity to become a more prepared, or we call it new norm, okay? No, a new normal, or whatever you want to call it. But because COVID-19 will still there until maybe, I don't know how many years, although maybe the vaccine is already there. So last but not least, I'd like to conclude my presentations by saying that two most important innovations, okay, involved, everything has to be risks informed, meaning that because technology can also cause problem, okay, because like this is not related to COVID-19, like cigarette is also based on innovations, okay, like bomb, like bullets, okay, what else, there are so many things. It is actually caused by human, like mobile phone technology. At some point, if you use your mobile phone when you drive, then that will cause problems. You can kill somebody, right? So it has to be risks informed. And the second one is this is the time where we have to show our global solidarity to support and to overcome COVID health, social, and economic challenges. So innovation has to show our solidarity. Okay, so we also have to help our neighbors. We like, let's say from we have to we when we think globally, we also have to think about what happened with our neighbors. So we have to support them. If you have any input, if you have anything you'd like to ask, or maybe you want to add something, so I will stop there. So thank you so much. I will return the microphone back to the moderators. Thank you so much.
Yang kemarin sempat dia sebenarnya tidak tadi karena ada Alright, thank you very much Pak Feby. Terima kasih banyak Pak Feby untuk presentasinya. So Pak Feby talks about opportunities during this hard time. He also provides several innovative action COVID-19 and a lot more in this great presentation. And for we to the second session, we can for this session question and answer session. Sorry, from the room chat. For participants in this room, we have some participants who also attend this conference offline. Yeah, here we have a question Pak Feby from Pak Lukmanul Hakim. Yeah, would you like to explain to us what is the example of political commitment and effective leadership in Australia that can effectively support COVID-19 case reduction? Yeah, please Pak, maybe you can answer this question first.
Sorry, I still mute my microphone. So thank you so much, Pak Lukmanul Hakim. Is that correct? And I have written some articles about that. So I I'm actually trying to find the article. So there's a feedback. So can you please turn? Okay. So in terms of political commitment, so first before I talking, because I talk about Indonesian case, so I'd like to explain about what happened in Australia. Okay, in Australia, we have, so before we have COVID-19, we have got what we call pandemic health intelligence system. Okay, so because I think in Indonesia you also have that as well. All right. So when the case happened in Wuhan, China, in December 2019, right? And they have activated this system since then. And then we have our first case was back in, I think back in February 2020 in Melbourne. There's a tourist coming from, not tourist, I think like Australian permanent residents from China, mainland China, and he actually came from Wuhan, but he transit in Guangzhou first. Okay, so he was the first case of COVID-19 in Australia. And then the political commitment, because COVID-19 can be a political commodity, right? Because I understand in Indonesia everything can become politics, okay, and that become very messy, very complex situations. What I'm trying to say here, politics means, so because here they use the existing system. So existing system means we don't have any puskesmas here because we have a clinic, but we don't have community health center because Indonesia have more in terms of populations. But here, they don't have to hire new people to speak about COVID-19. They don't have to establish a new task force. They just use existing task force, existing system, Ministry of Health, right? And also in terms of the lockdown, because we did not actually have a completely lockdown. Okay, so unlike in Melbourne, okay, because Australia is a is a federal country, right? So it's not like NKRI, like you only have one Ministry of Health. In Australia, every state they have their own ministry. Okay, I'm not saying that in the COVID-19 case they closed the border, so nobody can go from one state to another state. So they completely locked down per per state. So we call it a bubble. Okay, like in Indonesia. So I also put in Kompas as well at the time. So PSBB need to be implemented simultaneously, okay, at the same time. Jakarta, because right. So this is also a wrong approach, all right? So because maybe the PSBB, the level can be different. Maybe Jakarta, like let's say level 4, maybe in Papua level 1, for instance, because level 4 means because many cases in Jakarta, but maybe in Papua there is no cases in Papua at maybe let's say in February or in April, okay? But they have to close the border. So that what I put in my articles, that the border has to be closed, all right? But because in Indonesia, like if like a governor want to close their border, or maybe the Minister of decisions, so that become complex. In Australia, they have the a system where like because in Australia we have second wave, but the second wave is only in Melbourne and in New South Wales.
Universitas Negeri Gorontalo mencermati semakin cepatnya perubahan dunia yang diiringi dengan ketatnya kompetisi, terus melakukan inovasi dan kreativitas pendidikan. Sampai tahun 2019, jumlah mahasiswa pendaftar adalah 19.940 orang dengan 814 dosen yang termasuk di dalamnya 34 guru besar yang tersebar di 10 fakultas yang ada di Universitas Negeri Gorontalo. Di tahun 2019, Dr. Edward Wolok STMT sebagai Rektor Universitas Negeri Gorontalo menetapkan visi dan misi Universitas Negeri Gorontalo, yaitu mengembangkan pendidikan dan pengajaran digital-based learning guna menghasilkan lulusan yang memiliki kemampuan profesionalitas dengan menguasai teknologi di bidang kependidikan dan non-kependidikan. Meningkatkan kompetensi dan penelitian dan mengembangkan kompetensi peneliti untuk menghasilkan ilmu pengetahuan dan teknologi terbarukan yang memiliki manfaat untuk meningkatkan kesejahteraan masyarakat, pembangunan daerah dan nasional secara berkelanjutan. Mengembangkan kegiatan pengabdian kepada masyarakat yang inovatif, melakukan penyebarluasan serta penerapan hasil Universitas Negeri Gorontalo mencermati semakin cepatnya perubahan dunia yang diiringi dengan ketatnya kompetisi, terus melakukan inovasi dan kreativitas pendidikan. Sampai tahun 2019, jumlah mahasiswa pendaftar adalah 19.940 orang dengan 814 dosen yang termasuk di dalamnya 34 guru besar yang tersebar di 10 fakultas yang ada di Universitas Negeri Gorontalo. Di tahun 2019, Dr. Edward Wolok ST mengembangkan pendidikan dan pengajaran digital based learning guna menghasilkan lulusan yang memiliki kemampuan profesionalitas dengan menguasai teknologi di bidang kependidikan dan non-kependidikan. Meningkatkan kompetensi dan penelitian dan mengembangkan kompetensi peneliti untuk menghasilkan ilmu pengetahuan dan teknologi terbarukan yang memiliki manfaat untuk meningkatkan kesejahteraan masyarakat, pembangunan daerah dan nasional secara berkelanjutan. Mengembangkan kegiatan pengabdian kepada masyarakat yang inovatif, melakukan penyebarluasan serta penerapan hasil-hasil penelitian untuk menunjang pembangunan daerah dan nasional dalam rangka mengurangi angka kemiskinan dan ketimpangan. Mengembangkan kemitraan dan jejaring kerjasama yang luas untuk memajukan pendidikan, penelitian, dan pengabdian kepada masyarakat. Memperkuat nilai-nilai budaya, penerapan sains dan teknologi, serta inovasi berbasis potensi regional. Menyelenggarakan tata kelola dan layanan yang profesional, transparan, dan akuntabilitas yang tinggi menuju good university government. Universitas Negeri Gorontalo harus menjadi
Satu, dua, tiga. Silakan rekan-rekan.